December 1994. It's 1:47 a.m. in London, and Princess Diana is about to commit what could be considered kidnapping. But when she saw what was happening to 10-year-old Marcus on that freezing street, she couldn't look away. What she did next broke every royal protocol in existence. Subscribe for more untold stories about Princess Diana, and let us know in the comments what you would have done in her position. This isn't just a story about celebrity charity work. This is about a moment when being human mattered more than being royal, and how one split-second decision would change two lives forever. The December wind cut through London like ice. Diana wasn't supposed to be here. Royal protocol demanded that all charity visits be scheduled and heavily secured. But Diana had grown tired of choreographed compassion and sanitized suffering. For months, she'd been making secret midnight runs to London's forgotten corners. Tonight, she was heading to Center Point Homeless Shelter. She'd slip in through the back entrance, spend an hour with residents, and be back at Kensington Palace before dawn. No cameras, no ceremony, just Diana doing what she felt called to do. But as her car turned down a narrow street, something made her driver slow down. There, huddled in a doorway, barely illuminated by a flickering streetlight, was a figure so small it looked like discarded clothing. "Stop the car," Diana said quietly. Her protection officer, Detective Inspector Ken Wharf, turned to look at her. "Ma'am, we're already running behind." "Stop the car, Ken, please." As they pulled to the curb, Diana could see clearly. It wasn't clothing. It was a child. A boy who couldn't have been older than 10, wearing an oversized jacket, with holes in his trainers and no gloves, as he desperately blew on his hands for warmth. But Diana had no idea what she was about to discover about Marcus that would change her understanding of childhood trauma forever. The boy looked up as Diana's car door opened. In the streetlight, she could see his face clearly. He had eyes that belonged on someone much older, eyes that had seen too much, survived too much, and expected nothing good from the world. "Hello," Diana said softly, kneeling down despite the wet pavement. "What's your name, sweetheart?" The boy stared at her for a long moment. "You're that princess lady," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "From the telly." Diana smiled with genuine warmth. I'm Diana. And you're Marcus," he said, and then, after a pause, "I'm really cold." Those three words hit Diana like a physical blow. Here was a child, alone on one of the coldest nights of the year with nowhere to go. His small frame was shivering uncontrollably, and Diana could see his lips were turning blue from the bitter cold. But what broke her heart was how he said it, not as a plea for help, but as simple fact, expecting nothing to be done. What happened next broke every royal protocol in existence, and Diana knew it. "Marcus," Diana said, making a decision that would go against every piece of royal training, "would you like to come somewhere warm, just for tonight?" Detective Inspector Wharf stepped forward. "Ma'am, I really don't think—" But Diana held up a hand. She was looking directly into Marcus's eyes, seeing a lifetime of disappointment. How many adults had made promises to this child? How many had let him down? "I mean it," Diana said to Marcus. "Somewhere warm, with food where you can sleep safely." Marcus looked between Diana and her protection officer. "Are you going to call the social workers?" he asked. The question revealed more than Diana was prepared for. This wasn't just a runaway. This was a child who had run away from the system itself. "No," Diana said without hesitation. "No social workers. Just warmth and food and safety. I promise." The moment Marcus asked Diana this question, everything changed. "Why would you help me?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "You don't even know me. I'm just nobody." Diana felt something crack inside her chest. It was such a profound question coming from someone so young, and it spoke to a level of abandonment and mistrust that no child should ever experience. In that moment, Diana saw herself in his eyes, the loneliness she knew too well. "Because," Diana said, and her voice was thick with emotion, "every child deserves to be safe and warm. And because I think maybe you and I understand each other better than people might think." There was something in Diana's tone, a recognition of pain perhaps, or loneliness, that seemed to reach Marcus. After a moment that felt like an eternity, he nodded. You won't believe where Diana decided to hide him. Getting Marcus into the car was easy. The hard part was what came next. Diana had just made a decision that could end her royal status, damage her relationship with her sons, and possibly result in criminal charges. She was taking an unidentified child directly into one of Britain's most secure residences. As they drove toward Kensington Palace, Diana's mind raced. She couldn't use guest rooms. Too many staff had access. She couldn't involve more protection officers beyond Ken, who already looked uncomfortable. And she couldn't let William and Harry know, at least not yet. "Ken," Diana said quietly, "I need you to trust me. Ma'am, if the palace finds out, the palace won't find out. Not if we're careful." Marcus had fallen asleep in the back seat, his small body finally relaxing for probably the first time in months. Diana felt that maternal surge she'd experienced with William and Harry. But this was different. This child wasn't hers by birth, but she felt responsible for him in a way that transcended protocol and personal safety. When William and Harry woke up that morning, they had no idea their mother had committed what amounted to royal kidnapping. Diana's plan was audacious in its simplicity. Her private apartment had a small study connected to her bedroom through a rarely used door. She would settle Marcus there, bring him food from her own meals, and keep him safe while figuring out a permanent solution. Princess Diana, one of the world's most watched women, was about to hide a homeless child in Kensington Palace. But Diana had learned that sometimes the most important actions couldn't be explained to committees and advisors. As they pulled through the palace gates, Marcus stirred awake. The security guard nodded respectfully at Diana's car, completely unaware of the unprecedented situation unfolding just feet away. "Where are we?" he asked, looking at the imposing royal architecture, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Somewhere safe," Diana said, her heart pounding as they passed another checkpoint. "Somewhere warm. Somewhere no one will hurt you." She helped him from the car, noting how light he felt, how thin he was. When was the last time this child had eaten properly? The phone call Diana made next could have ended her royal status forever. Once Marcus was settled with blankets and food, Diana made a crucial call. "I need your help," she said when Dr. Margaret Chen, a child psychologist, answered. "Diana, it's 2 in the morning. Are you all right? I have a situation, off the record, completely off the record." Diana told Dr. Chen everything. About finding Marcus, bringing him to the palace, knowing nothing about his background or legal status. "Diana," Dr. Chen said, "you realize what you've done is, I know the risks, but Margaret, this child has been let down by everyone who was supposed to protect him. I couldn't drive past. Where is he now? Sleeping. For the first time in God knows how long, he's safe." Dr. Chen sighed. "First, no one else can know until we figure out legal implications. Second, I need to assess his psychological state. Third, we need to work fast." "How fast?" "You can't keep him more than a few days." "But Diana, what you've done isn't wrong. It's just complicated." What Marcus whispered to Diana on day 3 will break your heart. For 3 days, Marcus lived secretly in Kensington Palace. Diana would wake early to spend time with him, reading books she'd collected for William and Harry. She listened to his stories about street life, about older boys who protected him, about the foster family who left him at a bus station with a note saying they couldn't cope. Marcus had been in and out of care since age 6, when his parents died in a car accident. Each placement failed. Overwhelmed families, personality conflicts, or, heartbreakingly, families who moved abroad without him. "No one ever wants to keep me," Marcus told Diana on the second day as they read together. "I'm too much trouble." "You're not trouble," Diana said firmly. "You're a child who's endured more than any child should. That makes you brave." "Do you really think I'm brave?" "The bravest person I've ever met," Diana said, meaning it. On the third morning, Marcus asked a question that would stay with Diana forever. "Diana," he said quietly, "do you think my mom and dad can see me? Do you think they know I'm safe?" Diana felt tears spring to her eyes. Here was a child with every reason for bitterness, instead thinking about whether his deceased parents would be proud. "I think they can see you," she whispered, "and they're very proud of how strong and kind you've been." Marcus smiled, his first real smile. "I think they'd like you. My mom said the best people help without being asked." But reality was about to intrude on their sanctuary. By day 3, Dr. Chen had found a solution. A specialized foster family in Surrey, experienced with traumatized children, willing to take Marcus long-term. They were prepared for the healing process ahead. It's the best option, Dr. Chen told Diana, but this has to end. Diana knew she was right. That evening, she explained to Marcus what would happen. "You're sending me away," Marcus said, shudders coming down behind his eyes. "I'm sending you somewhere safe, somewhere permanent, where you can grow up and be happy. Will I see you again?" "If you want to. If your new family agrees, I'd love to visit." "Promise?" "I promise." The goodbye would reveal how much both had changed. On Marcus's last morning, Diana found him awake, looking at the palace gardens. "Are you scared?" she asked. "A little, but not as much as before I met you." "Why's that?" "Because now I know some people really want to help. Not because they have to, but because they want to. You helped me even though it was dangerous?" Diana nodded. "It was dangerous, but it was right." When Dr. Chen arrived with the foster parents, Marcus had packed his few possessions, books, clothes that had belonged to Harry, and a secret photograph Diana had taken of them reading together. "Thank you," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes, "for everything, but mostly for making me feel like I wasn't invisible." Diana knelt down one last time, fighting back her own tears. "You were never invisible, Marcus. You were just waiting for the right people to see you." The long-term impact would surprise everyone. Marcus thrived with the Mitchell family. Patient and experienced, they helped him heal from early trauma. But Marcus had something new, the memory of an adult who'd risked everything to keep him safe. When nightmares came or abandonment fears overwhelmed him, he remembered Diana's voice reading in that secret room. Diana kept her promise to visit. She watched Marcus learn to trust his new parents, start school, celebrate his first good report card, and transform from a traumatized street child into a confident, hopeful boy. The secret was kept by everyone involved. Dr. Chen, Detective Inspector Worf, the Mitchell family, and Marcus understood that what happened at Kensington Palace was too precious to survive public scrutiny. But the story doesn't end there. In 1997, when Diana died in Paris, Marcus was 13, living with a family who loved him. At Diana's funeral, he wept not just for the woman who had died, but for the mother figure who'd shown him he was worthy of love. Today, Marcus is in his 30s and works as a child protection social worker. Dr. Marcus Johnson specializes in homeless and abandoned children cases. His colleagues don't know their tireless, compassionate colleague was once the homeless boy whose story could have rocked the royal family. Marcus never speaks publicly about his 3 palace days, but those who work with him notice something in his approach, an understanding of invisibility, of being unwanted and afraid, that makes him extraordinarily effective at reaching children others can't help. Every year on December 14th, the anniversary of Diana finding him, Marcus visits a different homeless shelter. He brings clothes, food, and most importantly, time to talk with children who remind him of himself at 10. "She taught me that everyone deserves to be seen," Marcus says. "No child should be invisible, and no child should survive alone." Diana's 3-day rebellion against royal protocol extended far beyond one child. Dr. Chen established new emergency child protection protocols, prioritizing immediate safety over bureaucracy. Detective Inspector Worf called it the most profound example of moral courage he'd witnessed. The Mitchell family created specialized emergency foster programs. When people remember Diana today, they often focus on glamour, tragic marriage, or untimely death. But those who knew the whole story understand her truest legacy lies in moments like that. December night when she chose compassion over protocol, humanity over hierarchy. The homeless boy Diana smuggled into Kensington Palace for 3 days grew up to become a guardian for children like himself. The woman who risked her royal status for a stranger's child proved that true nobility has nothing to do with titles and everything to do with courage to act when action is needed most. Every child Marcus helps continues Diana's legacy. Every frightened, abandoned, invisible child who finds safety through his intervention is touched by the compassion Diana showed on that freezing London street nearly 30 years ago. "She taught me that love is an action," Marcus reflects, "something you do even when it's difficult, risky, or seemingly impossible." The 3 days hidden in Kensington Palace were just the beginning of Marcus's story, but they were the foundation. Proof he was worthy of love, evidence someone believed he deserved a future, and an example of choosing courage over comfort. Diana's secret act reminds us that sometimes the most important thing is using whatever privilege you have to protect someone who has none. The homeless boy wasn't just saved by her kindness, he was transformed by it. Through his work today, that transformation continues rippling outward, touching lives Diana never met, but somehow still managed to save. Sometimes the most important legacy is the one no one sees. Marcus Johnson's business card reads, Child Protection Social Worker. It doesn't mention 3 palace days or the princess who risked everything. But in every child he helps, Diana's legacy lives on. 27 years after that freezing December night, Marcus continues answering the call Diana heard when she saw a child in need. And somewhere, perhaps, the people's princess rests knowing her moment of magnificent rule-breaking created not just one saved life, but a lifetime dedicated to saving others. If this story moved you, please share it with someone who needs to be reminded of compassion's power. Subscribe for more untold stories about the real Princess Diana, and let us know in the comments about a time when someone showed you unexpected kindness. Sometimes the smallest acts of love create the biggest changes.